What are just a few tips that you can give real estate professionals that are they have a plan that this year's the year they're going to dive into social media? Where should they start? Hi, Jess Uphoff here with this week's episode of This Just In. I'm here with Elise Santani and our guest, Dakotah Kutz. So Dakotah Kutz is a local lender here in Denver. She is another mortgage lender. She works with New American Funding. And quick fact about Dakotah is she's one of the top 10 most followed mortgage lenders on TikTok, which Elise and I love our social media. And Elise has been following Dakotah for a long time and introduced me to her and said, we've got to meet her. So we were so excited to have you on our podcast today and learn about your business and about your TikTok and social media. But before we get into all of that, like, what do you think about TikTok going away? Like, this is what we're hearing. Is TikTok going away?
Oh, man. That's what everybody's asking. I'm so happy to be here, by the way. I've been a huge fan of Jess for years, ever since we worked at the same company. But I've heard, everybody's been hearing that TikTok's been going away now for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Initially, President Trump actually tried to ban it in his last term in office. It didn't go through. Then this most recent time, Congress is dead set on banning it. It seems like it is on the track to getting banned. But just in the last couple of days, Trump and Biden have both talked about how they are not planning to ban it. They're going to try to do everything that they can to save it, whether it's somebody buying it or they extend the ban. It's supposed to go into effect on Sunday. So it could be by the time this airs that we don't have TikTok anymore.
Oh my God.
Yeah, which is crazy. And I started posting on TikTok in 2020 during COVID. And it was when I had just had my first son. Now I just had my second son.
Oh.
And I'm like, man, it really has been a huge catalyst for my business and just kind of giving me the confidence to be on social media. But I think that if TikTok does get banned, there's going to be something else in its place. There's already a huge mass following on another Chinese app called Red Note, if you guys have heard of that.
And no one can even read it because everything's
it's all in Mandarin.
Yeah. I'm like, how do you even know how to post?
It's big, F you to the government, basically, because we're all like, well, we'll just go to another Chinese app.
That's the whole thing. It's if TikTok, it's true. It's if TikTok shuts down, there's a million other platforms. Too many people are making too much money on social media.
My 15-year-old is going to be devastated.
I'm going to be devastated. You're going to be devastated.
I actually am not on TikTok often.
You're
I'm
just
mostly
posting.
We post on there, but I'm mostly on Instagram.
Oh my God. I love TikTok. I say it all the time. I'm like, if I didn't have a job, very quickly, I could turn into the world's biggest loser because I would sit there for, I'm not kidding you, I would sit there for 12 hours
a day.
Too. I would laugh.
Really would too.
I would come up with so many recipes and hacks.
Me and my husband all day, we're just sending each other TikToks all day.
Yes, I mean, it's so good. And I don't know what it is about that algorithm, but
it knows what you want.
It knows me better. I'm like, how did you know I'm having a bad day? I mean, it's it just can see into my soul. I am obsessed with TikTok. And I do not care if the Chinese government has any of they probably already do, right?
If they're watching us, it's mostly teenagers.
There was a video of a guy that was like, this is your Chinese spy. And he did the funniest video saying, Melanie from Arkansas, you should really leave that guy. And, Trish from New York, you should really stop shopping on Amazon.
Yeah, right.
He was making this joke about it. But I think the crazy thing is to me, it's just so obvious how the government is so out of touch, with what the people actually care about. Because at this point, people care about housing affordability. We care about inflation. We care about interest rates. We really, the TikTok, selling our data to the Chinese government is at the bottom of our priority list as the people.
Right.
So it's just a money thing. And I think that TikTok changed the industry. I got into mortgage when it was very taboo to be doing social media at all. I actually they tried to get me fired from my first mortgage job at a bank. That's kind of why I moved into direct lending, because I was posting on TikToks and the other lenders on the team were saying that I was making the bank look bad because I was posting things about mortgages. And so it was kind of like a controversial thing to even be posting about like these kind of, male dominated normally industries, finance, mortgage. And now it's like very attainable for regular people. And this is how you get a mortgage. And these are the hacks. And this is what you can, biweekly payments, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how in 5 years that has completely changed, where now if you're not on social media, you're going to be left behind. You're left behind.
Yeah.
So it really is like, it changed the game, I think. And it made it way more attainable. I think it made like getting a mortgage more where people are looking for relatability more than like this professional, perfect, face.
Yes.
And so people want like to be helped by people instead of just by some stuffy person in an office.
Yeah.
That's so true.
So it'll be that way. Like that change is staying whether TikTok goes or not, I feel.
Yeah.
So I'm not really that worried.
Your TikTok. So I don't know when I came across your TikTok, probably in 2020, I would imagine. And there was something that like instantly, you are so relatable. And my favorite thing about you is I'm like, you're like in your car. Like you're like stopped at a red light. You're like, I got about 15 seconds to tell you this. But like, and you're so
That's the
real.
2-kid way.
But that is why I think the people love you. So you're funny.
Thank you.
You're pretty. That helps. Sorry, I don't even know if that's like a nice thing to say, but like,
does,
but it's like you have your kids, you're talking about your husband, you're talking like, you're just very authentic. And I love that so much. And you're so smart. The things that you're saying, you say them in a way that anybody can understand.
Thank you.
You're quick, you're to the point. Like there's just something so captivating about your page. And it's not all real estate and mortgage. Like you're sharing your life.
Right. Yeah. And I think that that's what people want. Like if I look for someone to sell me something, I'm going to look for someone that I feel like I can trust.
Yeah.
Because I just think that my generation, we don't trust salespeople. We don't trust the government. Like we are very weary of like anything. We're like, we want to do what we want to do. We want to make our own decisions. We want to be free. We don't want to be pressured into anything. We don't want to be charged any extra fees. And I think that like TikTok or social media in general has like allowed us to kind of connect on this level where it's like, oh, that's someone that I like. That's someone that I feel like I can trust. And then the rest comes later, which it's kind of funny because this last year I've been having kind of this shift in my business and in my social media posting where I'm trying to be as authentic as I can be, more than like having the hooks.
Yeah.
Of just like getting somebody in and then kind of, bait and switching almost in a way where it's like you do a trend to get someone in, buy a house for $1,000 or something. And then all of a sudden you call them and it's like, well, that's this one specific program with this one specific way, but you called me for this thing. So you don't want to be like making them feel like you're changing up on them.
Yeah.
So lately I've been really focusing on like being as authentic and true to myself as I can be, and like having the right people come to me because they know I'm going to guide them the best way that I can versus trying to just hook them and then switch them. Do
you ever worry, because you have not been in lending for 25 years, right?
Right.
And especially in the beginning, did you ever have like second guess yourself or think like, oh my God, is what I'm saying right? Because you're putting it out there for the entire world, and out there somewhere is someone who may know more than you.
Yes.
And then they're calling you out on a public forum. Like, does that ever cross your mind?
Oh my gosh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
And there's been times where I've been wrong. I'll never forget one time I was so proud. I did this whole video about the amortization schedule and like how much principal you're paying down over 5 years. And I did the math completely wrong. I don't know how I did it, but I freaking
girl
did.
Math.
Yeah. So that's what I said at the end. I was like, oh, girl math, whatever. So I was getting these comments from the men love to call me out when I'm wrong. They love to say, that is not right, blah, blah, blah. So I was getting all the comments and I was like, crap.
You just take the post
I
down.
was wrong. Yeah, so I deleted it. I was like, yeah, that one should not stay up. And then there's been other times where like I posted something where I really had no idea it was going to have a reaction that it did. And like it would strike a nerve with people and it would go super viral. But like a lot of the comments would be mean. Like one of the things that always goes viral, but always pisses people off is my rental properties.
Why?
People on TikTok do not like Gen Z mostly. They don't agree with rental properties because they feel like it's like taking housing away when there's a housing shortage and housing affordability is such a thing. So they kind of compare people like little tiny people like me that have like 3 houses to like the BlackRocks or like these big like investors. And so I'll post a video about how I got my rental properties, which was me buying a house, living in it for a year to 5 years, and then taking a HELOC out to put down on my next house and like kind of growing my portfolio that way. And it always goes viral because people are always very interested in it, but it always gets really mean comments.
Do you respond to your haters?
Sometimes I'll try to like say something smart back, but they just, nothing you can say is ever gonna
I feel like it's like this dark
change their mind.
this dark victim world that like you wouldn't be able to ever change because you're just like on different levels, right?
No, that's exactly.
Like
it's like the victim mentality.
And you just you can't use logic to right? So it's like when we had Brett Weinstein on here, it like went, a lot of what he was talking about went viral and there's so many haters. Yeah. And I was watching him, he was responding to everyone.
Yeah.
Was he?
And he was disarming everybody. It was fascinating to watch because he had like, you should. Because it was really cool how, I don't know if he was like putting their comments in Chat GPT and being like, disarm this person. Yeah. I think that's what I was thinking. Like maybe you could do that. But I do believe that it's like the haters on social media are just this community of victim mentality and they are just looking for opportunities to just bring people down. And it's one thing if you did the math wrong and you're a mortgage professional, like we all make mistakes. So I think that could have happened to any of us.
Right.
So like, and it's one thing to be like, that's wrong. And you be like, okay, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. Right. Like that's one thing. Right. But to just spew hate, which I think I see a lot of. To just be mean. We did a while back, we did a fun like reel about interest rates in the 80s were like 18%. Or do you remember that?
Yep.
And we had so much hate that like house prices now and like everybody just going back and forth about how it's not a good comparison. And you know, it's just like,
well, and it's a 30-second TikTok.
Exactly.
Like it's not that deep.
That's what I feel like I have to just like remind people. Wish I could just scream that. I'm like, you can't share every detail of like all the disclaimers in a 30-second TikTok. Like the TikTok is meant to grab attention and be funny or whatever. That's why I've switched a lot to the car talks. Yeah. Because I'm like, okay, I can talk for 10 minutes and then I can kind of make my disclaimers because I was like, people are calling me out for something when it's 30 seconds to a trend.
Exactly. It's like,
and it's, the point is not to give you every single detail in that 30-second TikTok. The point is just to grab the attention. And then we want to give you all the detail when you reach out to us. Right. You know?
What do you think the point is? Is the point just to show, because you said it, the point is to show your authentic self, right? Like, and that's why I think people don't do well with social media and don't get views is because they get up there and they are not themselves. And so I think that to Elise's point, that's what you're doing so well is you just don't, you're not trying to be anything you're not. You're just like, this is me. I'm going to interact with my audience and not feel nervous and not withhold and just be myself. And I think that that's what grabs everybody's attention and why your social media is so successful.
Yeah, I do think that when whatever it is, whether it's social media being yourself or just start running our business as ourselves, like the more authentic we are to who we are and like feeling like we're in line, the people that are meant for us come to us. Agreed. And then it just makes it so much easier to do business with those people because there's a lot of times where I feel like I know I'm not in line and then it's like my transactions are just hard and I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are not getting me and I'm not getting them. It's not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just that we're not like aligned. We're not in this like this little wave together, you know?
Yes.
But when I'm aligned, I'm like, oh yeah, the people that come to me, they love me, they trust me. I love them. I'm helping them build their wealth through real estate. And then it's like, love it. Best job ever.
Yeah.
So I can always feel it when it's like a little off.
Well, because you don't want to work with everybody.
But
like
here's the thing. Because right now I have a referral that was given to me by a top partner I've been working with for a decade. And he hands me this referral, and it's a good referral. Like it's a buy side and a sell side for my referral partner. And probably $2 million plus worth of real estate for the partner, right? So I always have my partner in the back of my mind.
Yeah, they're your number one.
They're my number one. But I knew the minute I talked to this prospect that we were not a match because he wanted to lowball the house by more than $200,000. He was like, the amount of interest I pay on the loan is the most important thing. And I tried to challenge his perspective and be like, think about it this way, though, and use my experience as a finance professional of over 20 years to be like, I think you're missing this aspect that you should consider. And he just was like, I'm not listening to you. So he wasn't coachable. He wanted to lowball the seller. He would be a huge fat waste of my time.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
How do I handle that? Do I say to my partner, I'm sorry, I don't think we're aligned? Is that the best way to handle it? Or do I risk that partner being like, you said no to my prospect I gave you? Like, how do you?
I think you should tell partner. I would tell the partner because I think most likely what would happen if you didn't, he's going to just shop you.
Yeah.
And then he's going to be the one saying, she didn't give me the best deal because he's going to try to lowball everyone.
Yeah.
So no matter what, it's going to not be you.
Favorable to me.
Yeah.
Like, back to the partner. Right?
Yeah. So then the best case, I think, is to tell the partner, like, I just don't think that we are a match. And I don't think that he's going to
take my
advice. And so I think you should refer him to someone that you know is the absolute lowest rates, but maybe not the best service.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think
it's not even rate. Like, that's the thing. Like, he and I were not misaligned because of rate. Like, my ideal client comes to me and says, I value you as a professional.
Yeah. They like
and I trust whatever you think is best because every consumer, what they have in common is if you read on the internet, what's the number one thing you should ask your mortgage lender? What would it say? Rate.
Yeah.
Rate.
Yep.
But rate is such a small aspect.
And the rate is so like gray because people are thinking, I want this rate, but without realizing that it costs this. Well, like it has this cost, and then your overall cost is way more expensive than if you would just take this higher rate. But you can't explain that to people unless they trust you.
But to take it one step farther than that. So let's talk about what you just said. So you have a 6% rate with one lender, or let's say 6.25% today is about as far as you can probably buy it down right? Or you have a 7% rate with another lender, and let's say they're trying to compare, and they're like, oh, the 6.25% lender must be better. I think that's a number one thing that the consumer doesn't necessarily understand, the concept of discount points. Right. But what I say is, if you have a 7% rate, you're probably going to refinance twice. You're going to refinance low 6s, high 5s.
Right.
Then you're going to refinance again, low 5s, high 4s. I don't know about 3s ever again. I'm not sure. Maybe sometime in the future. I don't think we should count on it. But would you agree there's probably 2 refinance opportunities for a consumer?
Yeah.
So if you can buy a low 6 rate right now, you frog jump over the first refi. So on a $700,000 loan, if they're paying 7%, it's like $50,000 a year that they'll pay an interest at 7% for 1 year. So if it takes them 2 years to refinance, that's $100,000 of interest they paid on a loan that they're going to start over, and they don't get $1 of that interest back.
Right.
So it's like, does it make sense to buy it down? I think so. If you look at that, but the consumer's like, I don't want to pay any points. I'm going to refi. And you're like, I get that, but they don't think. So that's the kind of like professional guidance that a consumer's either open to that and saying, oh, you're right. That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Because there is no certainty on a refi. You know, we all have been saying how long? For two plus years. Rates are going to come down. Rates are going to come down. And now I think every mortgage lender in the United States is saying, we thought rates were going to come down. And now
we're all saying
now we're lacking certainty. There's zero certainty in the future of interest rates. So all you know to do now is to base your decisions on uncertainty, which is if it does take you 3 years to refi, are you going to be happy that you paid $150,000 in interest on a loan that you're starting over and you don't get $1 of that money back? Is that a good decision?
Right.
You know what I mean?
So when you're having that conversation, are people receptive to it, or are they like, no?
No, but my client, like the client that I'm aligned with, going back to what we were talking about, is like one of my top referring partners sends them my way and says, she's amazing. You should talk to her. And if they say, hey, Kimberly says you're amazing. I trust you. I trust Kimberly. So I trust you. You tell me what you think. That's my client, because I give good financial advice.
Right.
Like, I don't just try to sell loans. I try to like optimize people's finances.
Right.
And that does not mean the best rate.
Right.
Yep.
Well, you know what's, I was like scrolling your page the other day, and you just did a post about how it's so important as a consumer that you're working with someone who does business.
Yeah.
Like both of you do business.
Yes.
Right.
And you're like, listen, if someone is promising you the world and telling you all these things and they don't do any business, guess what? They need you more than you need them. So they're going to tell you any kind of bullshit. Who are you working with here? Like, how badly do they need you? So you guys are in a really unique position.
I think that you and I are really well aligned from that regard, because I think that the industry right now, both with lending and real estate, is splitting. And it's like one half is going towards commodity and just it's a race to the bottom. And one half is going high value.
Yeah.
And I think like my professional guidance and the time I spend doing, you know, the financial analysis I do and giving good guidance is the high value. And so if I come across a client that's like commodity,
then
a
they're not a fit.
lender's a lender. If that is your viewpoint, that we're all the same, then you should go down that path and find that desperate lender that hasn't closed a loan in 3 months and is willing to give you $2,000 in a credit towards your closing costs because they need to make their mortgage payment.
Yep.
They are not going to do your loan the same way I would.
Nope.
They're not going to protect you from the problems that I would, that are going to end up being way more than $2,000. You know what I mean? Don't you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's exactly what my post was the other day, is like, I had a client recently that it was kind of similar, where I kind of knew that we were not aligned, but I still tried to go for it, which is why I was like, you should just tell your partner, because it ended up going not good for me anyways, because they, ended up going to the online, lender, bottom of the barrel, super cheap, they thought, but it was the same thing, because the lender they ended up going to was super selling them on a 2-1 buy down. And I have not been selling 2-1 buy downs recently at all, if I can help it, because of the uncertainty. So I'm like, with that money, I would rather you buy your rate down into something that's going to be just as good as your second year. Because what's the likelihood that you're going to refinance in this first year? Like, kind of not that high. So I'd rather you just take that same money, buy it down as low as you can permanently. Same thing like you're saying, skip over the first refi.
Yep.
And the 2-1 buy down to me just does not really make sense right now. And so, of course, they went to the one that was like super toting the 2-1 buy down. Well, it ended up being that they couldn't close on time. They had to push closing a week later. The partner was very adamant about being on the loan. And I had said, I don't think you should be, because the other partner qualified without it. And your rate is going to be a lot better. You're going to have a lot more affordable of a payment, and overall, if it's just the one. And of course, they put the person on the loan. So then when they closed, my agent was like, the rate was 0.75% higher than yours was. And they did the 2-1 buy down. So the first year on the 2-1 was the same rate that it would have been with the buy down permanently on mine.
That's crazy.
And I was like, that guy. And of course, I looked him up. No business. Doesn't do any business. The guy. Yeah. So I'm like,
do you use that in your business? Do you like? Yeah, I do too.
Well, I just use it to spy a little bit.
I use it.
I'm not doing it anything official, but
I like to use it with real estate agents. Like if someone's referred to me by a past client and they're not working with a partner of mine, I'm like, who are you working with? And I always look them up. And if they have like 3 sides a year, I always bring that up. Like, it's not to say that they're a bad agent, but it's something that like, here's the things we just together working as a team we need to be mindful of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because practice
it does
makes
help.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
And it does help if like you're an experienced loan officer working with a newer agent or somebody that just isn't really in the market, because then you know that you can kind of tell them what's going on too, what you're seeing. Because even with top agents, especially you, but even me a little bit, I'm seeing more transactions than they are. So even in the agents that I work with that are amazing and like do a lot of business, I'm still seeing more transactions than they are. And so I'm able to like kind of share with them what I'm seeing and like what concessions I'm seeing and stuff like that, and be a partner to them that way and build value there. But yeah, it's crazy how the right people totally come when you're aligned with yourself. But when I'm misaligned and I'm like kind of getting desperate, or I just like need a deal, or where's my next, thing going to come from, it's never good.
Yeah.
It never works out good for me.
Have you ever had anyone working with you? Like, have you ever rubbed anyone the wrong way on social media and it's cost you business?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But maybe, could be. I had one client choose to go with another lender, and it was a referral partner, a referral to me, and they never told the referral partner why, and they never and the person that they ended up going to, I knew what they were offering because we also kind of talk.
Yeah.
And it was the exact same. And I had been working with them for a month or so.
Yeah.
And it was really weird to me that they had decided to like jump ship last minute like that, like as they were writing an offer. And it wasn't for a better price or anything. And so I thought the thing that could make sense is that maybe they saw my TikToks and didn't like them or something.
Interesting.
But that's the only time that I've ever like thought maybe it could have affected me in like a negative way.
I'm sure you've gotten a lot of business from it though.
Yeah, for sure.
What portion of your business is from TikTok?
So I would say probably 20% of my business is from social media in some capacity. Like whether I just meet an agent through social media and now we start doing business together.
Yeah.
Or someone I went to high school with refers their cousin because they saw an Instagram post of mine. Directly from TikTok, it's not very much. Like I did, I think like 75 loans or something maybe this last year. And probably 5 of them were direct. Someone found me on TikTok, clicked my link,
actually
applied.
Pretty impressive to get 5 loans from TikTok.
Yeah, like they actually applied and like put their social in and stuff and then closed, So 5 directly from TikTok, probably more like 15 social media related. Like I wouldn't have had them if it wasn't for social media in some capacity,
And that's you only doing it for like a handful of years, right? So imagine over time. And have you done a lot of the like infrastructure in your branding to like make sure you're capturing everything? Do you have so there's some so there's some opportunity to like optimize your accounts, right? To like create more business now that that's what you need to work on next.
Yeah, it's the system.
Because you have the followers, right? So you need like the funnels and like creating more opportunities for yourself. That's cool.
Yeah. And my last company, NFM, I used to work at, they are really good at the systems. They had all the back end systems in place for social media, and I loved that about them. But now that I moved to a new company, those things will have to come from me because they just aren't quite as advanced in like the social media aspect as they were.
Yeah.
And so I'll have to kind of like create that system myself, I think.
Yeah.
Are you really going to create that?
No.
Yeah. I feel like that should be like one of the because it's like
probably not.
It's like I mean it's like that's probably not your jam.
No,
I would
it's
imagine.
really not my jam. I'll find somebody to help me do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You will. Yeah.
You will.
What about So you spend a significant amount of time. Well, maybe not significant. How much time do you spend, like on average, a week creating content?
I would probably say 2 hours.
Oh,
but
really?
That's where it comes from with the easy car videos.
Yes.
Like being able to just like anytime I have a situation that happens that I'm like, oh, this would probably be a good video, I keep it in my notes app in my phone and I just like do a brief description of it.
Yeah.
And then I try to find like a trend or a song or something that kind of matches up to that situation, or I'll talk about it in my car.
Yeah.
And so since I'm doing things so like quick and abrupt, I'm usually just filming them one time and then I'm done.
Yeah.
It used to be that I would like content block where on Sundays I would like have outfit changes and I would do a bunch of different videos to post throughout the week. But that was, I thought, a lot less authentic. And it was when trends were really big on TikTok. It used to be that TikTok, things went viral on TikTok when it was a trend. And actually they were like 5 to 10 second videos that really hit. Now I feel like TikTok has really become more of like a podcasting platform in a way where like what I'm watching on TikTok is like 10 minutes long. Each video I watch is like 10 minutes long.
Did you watch Who the F Did I Marry?
Yes, that whole series. I watched
spent
that
so much
whole
time
thing.
watching that.
Yeah, and lately I've been watching a lot of like Christian like podcast, like theological podcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's literally like 10 minutes each time. So my whole For You page is like no trends anymore.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny how that like has shifted. And so that's where I tried to move to, like the car videos where it's like actually talking. And I actually have recently started, instead of stopping my video, because I used to like say a sentence, stop, so that I could be a little more clean.
Yeah.
And lately, I've been just putting the video up and just talking.
That's because you have 2 kids now, so you have no time for that.
I don't have time for the stop. And I feel like when I just talk, sometimes I get a little off track, but it feels more like conversational, I think.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting how the trends of social media shift.
It is.
Right? And
So quickly.
It's throwing a dart. You have no idea. It's like,
It
I
used
don't
to
know
be
what's going to take
dancing.
off this. Yeah. It's dancing. It's 1 minute long form videos, or it's 10-second short form videos, or it's highly produced, or it's not produced. I mean, it's like, it changes by the second, it feels like.
And I feel bad for the professionals that haven't got on it yet. They're like, I need to do that. Just like you need to optimize the back end of your social media, which I see so much opportunity for you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like real estate agents or lenders out there that are like, gosh, that's just not me. You know, like but it's not really optional in my opinion. Like,
I
and
don't
it's
think
not
it
not
is.
you.
It's
all you need to do is just
be yourself.
speak words.
Yeah.
Like you do it
Yeah.
all day. Just speak words.
I know.
Be
Well,
yourself.
One of the
It is
3
you.
of us is not on social media.
I know it's me.
You?
No, I'm not.
Really?
I have no social media.
Interesting.
I mean, I have TikTok because I scroll TikTok, but I don't
But you
post
don't post
TikTok.
Yeah.
And you would be like the best of
I
all.
know. Agreed.
I feel like you
I
would
agree.
be the one that would take it over.
Okay.
So you should probably do it.
Maybe, but I also am a full-on stalker. Like I will spend all of my time, I will be looking at people who I don't even know, and they're like 5 connections away from someone who I do know. Like I just get so caught up in all of it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm telling you guys, I could go down the wrong path in life and become a huge loser over social media.
Like you just be
So
stuck.
I'm like, you know what? I just gotta, I know my limits.
But creating content actually makes you consume it less, I think.
Yeah.
Because then you start to see it as a way for you to create versus like taking it in.
Yeah.
So I feel like
can
if
see
you
that.
started to make content, you would scroll less.
I mean, I guess
I still
make-
do scroll,
Like I do
but-
this.
Yeah.
Like I make content for work.
And she's great at it. Like you've been natural since we've started.
Yeah.
Like it is so, I mean,
It's perfect for
it's
her.
just so easy for you because like you said,
Yeah.
you were calling her personality B type, which I want to
Yes.
talk about more. But I think it's just you were born to do this.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah, I think so
born
too.
to create content. And it's,
You have the it factor.
You have it. You've got like I have to work so hard and
Keep
I'm
going.
still awkward AF. Like I really like Brian will be like, you know.
Hi, I'm Jess with this Just In.
See? You know I'm right.
I'm like, oh my God, this girl, let's go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you do. You have
We
to.
make a good pair from
We
that
do.
regard
We do.
because
We do.
I'm super analytical, all business. Like you and I are the yin and the yang.
I'm
you're
like, here we go.
You're like, this is stupid.
You guys seem like the best team ever.
Yeah. We are a very good team.
Yeah.
We're like, and it's just so funny too, because so many people always tell us, they're like, how did you two, like, how did this marriage start? And
every like analytical, serious business person needs a fun blonde friend.
Yes. And business partner.
Yeah.
It's
and
funny.
business partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever the thing is, nobody knows this about you though. Sorry to cut you off, but like Jess is funny. Jess is
Oh yeah,
fun
I can see
and
that
funny.
she's really funny.
And it's like, but she spends so much time working where she's like talking about numbers and all this boring stuff all day. You know what I mean? And it's like, but when
She
I
doesn't
first
get
met
to get
Jess,
out
I
that
didn't
much.
I didn't know her as like a lender. She was just my friend. And so I always knew that fun side of you. And yeah, so I feel like I just kind of help
Bring
that out.
Wherever we go, when we go out, like yesterday, we were out to lunch with a realtor and she's like, I need an Elise. And I
Yes,
can't tell
I agree.
you
I need an Elise
how
too.
many people have told me that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel so blessed
Yeah.
that like, I don't know. You are a gem.
Well,
you are an
thank you.
absolute gem.
Well, so are you.
Thank
I love
you.
you a lot.
Well, and I think having that like in your business it's just invaluable. Like the fact that you have somebody that kind of like brings the light to things, if you can kind of get into the weeds of it.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It's like invaluable. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's priceless. It's like priceless.
Are you in there?
Where
I'm
are you?
so far down there.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I need an Elise too. My son, I feel so sad because my 5-year-old now, I just love work.
Yeah.
I love it. And I'm actually not, I don't think, a type A analytical personality at heart. I'm actually more of your personality at heart.
Yeah.
But I love work so much that it like consumes me because
Yeah.
it's just like the thing I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm talking about it all the time. And I'm always trying to figure out ways of like being better at it. And so all day long, I'm talking to my husband like, oh yeah, today, blah, 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 blah. And my poor son's like, Mom, why are you always talking about work? I was like, because it's fun to me.
Yeah.
This is my life now, you know?
But it seems like you have a pretty good balance though. Like, do you feel that you have an okay balance?
I think that ever since I had my second son, I was like forced to have more of a balance because the 2 little kids was just like the first 3 years I was just hustling. I mean, it was like 80-hour weeks, maybe 90, just trying to get, you know, trust and momentum and like meet people that would trust me to use them. And then after I had Beck, I feel like I kind of was forced to like take what was coming to me. And it was such a blessing because God like provided. And it was very interesting how my mindset shifted because before I really would like make my success, tie my success to how hard I was working, how much I was hustling, how many hours I was doing it. And then Beck came and I did the same amount of business, but I worked like half for it.
And that is the real
And I was
win.
like, wow, this is very
That's
interesting.
abundance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, it's almost like my mindset shifted or my energy changed or something to where now I'm like welcoming it in and I'm not doing the hustle culture to get it, but it's still coming. And then this last year just felt like the worst year ever. Like it just felt so hard to get the business I got.
Yeah.
Like I did get it, but it felt back to like that just grind of like, instead of like the hustling to get the lead, it was like once you got the lead,
You were hustling.
every step was just fighting to keep them, fighting to keep the transaction together. Everybody's terminating, nobody's working together. And I just was like, oh my gosh, I'm spinning my wheels. And nothing is happening. So my goal for 2025 is to try to get back into like the abundance mindset where like it's flowing to me and out of me and I'm working hard, but not like
grinding,
doing that grind, you know?
Yeah. Well, you've done it long enough now that you shouldn't have to be working 80, 90 hour. I'm sure that you're a lot more efficient now than you were 5 years ago.
Right.
Like,
that
you've
is
learned
true.
it.
Yeah. And I think the 80, 90 hour things was more generating the business. Now it's more like generating the business is a little less of the time, but if I could generate or if more business came, then the work would be like actually doing the work, you know, in the loans, doing the calls. But before it was like out meeting people for 80, 90 hours, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like I could still see myself working a lot, but it's more like working on the loans versus working out into the world. I don't know.
What's your long-term plan though? Because long-term, you're probably not going to want to be working on the actual loans, right?
Yeah,
like if you, okay, so they've already quoted that you're one of the top 10 lenders to follow on TikTok, right? So let's just say that you stay on that same trajectory. People are following you. Your business is blowing up. Obviously, you're going to have to get some help. You can't do it all. Do you really want to be the one in all of those loans? Because at some point you might be like, okay.
But she says that's what she enjoys, right? Don't you enjoy
I do. Well, I think the part that I'm really good at about my job is like the consultations.
Yeah.
Like talking to the clients. I could have phone calls booked with clients from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and love my life.
Yeah.
Like if the calls were booked.
That's your answer.
Yeah.
And I was just doing it and talking all day and like giving them advice. Like, this is what you should do. This is the direction you should go. This is what you're going to qualify for. Then pass them to the person to like do the Encompass stuff. That would be the dream. I could just talk all day on the phone to the clients, talk to the agents, make sure that I'm like strategizing the right way, and then like getting it passed off. I don't love like the networking events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like the one-on-one, like, this is how I can help you and this is your goal. This is how we get there.
Yeah.
Let's do it. This is your way. You know?
Wow. That's cool.
So maybe someday I'll have like a team or something that allows me to like have the appointments booked, the people calling me, especially through social media. If it did get to that point where like people are calling me and booking like on my calendar or something all day, and I'm just talking to people all day long and then kind of passing to like a junior or something.
Yeah.
I've thought about that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So you would like it. Okay. This is a little bit off topic, but you said people could schedule on my calendar. That gives me so much anxiety. The thought of having like Calendly where anybody could just
pop in,
do anything without me having to be like, okay, cool, that works. You want to do that?
I could do that, but I would block off the times that I was not available.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be just like free for all, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like I would love to know that like I'm going into the day tomorrow and I just have my calendar booked with calls. That's what I would just do all day, every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And be like, this is the loan that works for you. This is what you should ask for. You know?
That's cool.
Do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and I do like piecing together the loans too. It's not like my thing I probably don't like, the thing I like the least, I think, is the networking. I just hate it.
What about it do you hate?
I hate it because I feel like it's so salesy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm having to be salesy in those instances. I love being introduced to people, that like an agent introducing another agent that they work with, and they're like, I love you, they're gonna love you. And I love meeting one-on-one with that person.
Yep.
But going and like trying to just meet different partners just feels like icky to me. Like I just feel like I'm not that type. I'm not the sales person. So then I'm like, I'm just wasting my time.
Like, I would say the exact same thing about myself. I'm like, I don't want to talk about any of this stuff. I want to talk about like your kids, and I want to talk about your husband and where did you like, and that is sales in a roundabout way. Like, so you don't have to go about it.
But you care about their life.
That is true. I actually, you know what? You're 100% right. Because I actually
you
do.
want to know all about their life. I really don't.
Yeah.
I just want to help their client with their loan.
It's so interesting because you and I are wired the same, because you and I have gone to some lunches this week and we're getting to the point where they're about to bring the check. And I'm like, both of our big meetings we had this week. And I was like, we didn't even talk about business, because you were just about personal
just
life,
visiting,
which is awesome. Yeah. But I'm like, we need to like close this. You know what I mean? So
that's exactly.
So I think true. I think that there's a balance, right? Of
there
like,
is, you
can't just be like, bye, it was so great to see you, and you don't ask for anything. Then you're wasting your time. So you have to have a balance.
But I'm not really wasting my time because they're like, oh, I love her, I'm going to send them business.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
I think if you don't ask and you don't say like let's look at the without saying who we met with, a couple of things we had this week. Like, I think you have to straight up ask, like, what are our chances of working with you, right?
Because they could love you, But I actually saw something about, and I hope I say it right, but it's like the number one thing that people look to when working with someone is competence and warmth.
Mm-hmm.
So like you have the full on warmth.
Yeah.
People will love you instantly. But how do you show your competence without talking about work at all?
Yeah.
It's almost like you have to have both. And I feel like for me, I like to have, when it's like I'm going to lunch with an agent, I just want to have fun with them too.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I want to drink margaritas.
Yeah.
And like have this great time. But like that is not getting me anywhere. What I love about my agents is when they call me and say, hey, Dakotah, I have this deal. It's going south. What do I do? Like, have you seen this before? Have you ever heard of this happening? It's like, that makes me so happy because I'm like, you trust me to be a partner to you in your business.
Yeah.
And it's not that they don't like me too, but like, I don't like having to do all the like pleasantry things. I want to just jump to the, how do we get this done? And like, you want to go back to your family. I want to go back to my family. I like you. You're great. But I don't want to be like all involved in your life either.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like some of my agents are my really close friends and they're like my real friends.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, it's like, I want to just help you get where you want to go so that you can have the life that you want with your family. I don't really need to have margaritas with you every week.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I think that also on, like as lenders or realtors, let's say you're a realtor and your phone blows up with lenders calling you all the time.
All the time. Go to lunch, go to lunch, go to lunch.
Never call realtors to just be like, hey, what's up? And it's a terrible thing to admit, but it's because I'm really busy doing loans. But what I've realized about myself is that the best use of my prospecting time is to call an agent that's referred me and update them on their client and how we're going to collectively move show my competence, right? Here, I talk to your client here. So I think that instead of me being like, okay, here's a list of 40 realtors, I should be pounding the phone every week and leaving messages and how was your weekend? And that's not me.
That's not me
It's not
either.
me. So it's like, why don't you just authentically be you and be like, one of the things I love is to add value to their business through the business that they're referring to me and being like, hey, you want to know something cool? Like, you know, and like giving them little tidbits of what can
That's what
help
I love
them,
too. Yeah.
right? And that's my prospecting time. And so it's really interesting.
Which is why you guys are the best team and why I need an Elise.
Right?
Because
Elise.
my Elise would do the fun,
the networking
stuff. And then build that like rapport so that then when the agent needs help, they call me for the questions or like the competence piece, right? So then you're the warmth piece. Jess is the competence piece.
Yeah.
And then you guys are just perfect together. Like it's the best fit.
And that is how it works. Because I know that I told you this, but I don't do loans. I don't. No one's calling me asking me, "Hey, I'm in a pickle."
At least how does that appraisal gap thing work?
I'm like, it just does.
It just does. Okay.
Why are you coming at me like that? Like no one is going to call me and ask me that kind of stuff. They're for sure going to call Jess. And so I guess from that perspective, like you guys are right where we do need to talk about what we can offer, but it's just, I'm not usually the one that's doing that. I'm like, let me hold your baby.
I love that about you.
You know, it's like, so it is situational, I would say.
For sure.
So I want to ask you about people that are new to social media. What are just a few tips that you can give real estate professionals that are they have a plan that this year's the year they're going to dive into social media? Where should they start?
They have to commit to being consistent.
Okay.
I think that's like the number one thing because it's going to be weird at first. It's going to be awkward. It's not going to flow like the way you want it to flow. It's not going to get the likes or the views that you want it to get right away, usually. Right. It's just practice. It's like the more I've done it, the better I've gotten and the quicker and the more it hits and the more I know what to say to kind of get a certain reaction. And like, it's just posting a lot. I was posting 3 times a day for the first 2 years.
Wow.
And then I went to like 1 time a day and now I post like a couple times a week.
Yeah.
So I think that like just making the commitment to do it a lot and not slow down. And even if it's something like lame, like, oh, this is a cool license plate I see when I'm driving. You know, like it doesn't really matter what the content is, just posting a lot of content all the time. All it takes is like one to hit and then you're kind of hooked.
Yeah.
Once one hits, then you're like, oh, I could do it.
And what platform would you recommend? I guess it depends on the person, right? Yours is TikTok. But
I think Facebook is like a really awesome social media platform for people that don't want to really like make videos. They just want to be present because a lot of people are still on Facebook and like it's friends of friends of friends of friends. And I actually ended up getting like 11,000 followers on Facebook or something from some random reel I posted.
Wow.
Like on my personal Facebook. And so now I have a lot of people to be able to like kind of go to, you know, like if I want to like comment on people's things or
so you let
engage.
anyone follow you on Facebook?
Yeah, follow, but not friends.
Okay.
So there's like something different with like you can only have a certain amount of like friends, but then you can have followers.
So do you get like tons
It's
of
weird
creepy messages in your IMs?
I don't at all.
That's so
like I
shocking
really
to me
don't
'cause
at
you're
all.
so pretty.
Yeah.
And like I have to be really careful because I get like, hey girl, like tons of them. And I'm like, you know.
I don't get any.
Which is shocking to me. I'm really surprised to hear that.
Like maybe once in a while, you know, hard eyes or something. And I'm like, thank you. Appreciate the love.
I feel like we should be offended that no one is trying to hit on us on social media. Like, come on.
I know. I'm like, excuse me. Don't you like me? No, but I think so. Facebook, like me and one of my agent partners have really tackled Facebook groups.
Okay.
And like recommending each other in Facebook groups, like moms groups and women groups and stuff like that. And that was like, it's a little bit more saturated now, but it was super successful for us for the first like few years that we did it.
Yeah.
And like posting, I actually posted in Facebook Marketplace like 3 weeks ago. My house was listed for rent, right? I was like, I have this picture of my house listed for rent. I wonder what would happen if I just put first time home buyer program in the subject line. So in the subject line, I put first time home buyer program $1,000 minimum for like Chaffa. And I have probably 50 messages.
Oh my gosh.
In my Facebook messages saying, I'm interested. Can I learn more? I'm interested. Can I learn more?
So now
From
you need
this
to create
Facebook
a
Marketplace
webinar
thing.
about Chaffa and then drive all those people to your Chaffa webinar.
To the webinar.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
I should do that. Yeah, because now I'm like scheduling all these calls with all these people.
Yeah, you should
to
just
talk to about
say,
Chaffa.
here, I'm going to talk to a huge group. I was overwhelmed by the interest. And so I'm putting on a webinar on Friday. I'd love for you to come. I'm going to basically like answer all
like
your
through
questions.
Zoom or something?
Yeah. And if you can't make it, it's okay. I'll send you the recording.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then
totally
you don't
do
have
that.
to spend as much time on the phone answering the same question over and over again.
Over and over again.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Well, very cool. This was like so fun. It was so
really
fun
fun
to talk to you. Yeah.
I'm super glad that you guys had me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Thank you.
So how do people tell us how to follow you?
On TikTok and Instagram, I'm your mortgage mom.
You're a mortgage mom. I love that. That's great.
And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty easy.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Dakotah, for being here. And we are so excited to follow My Mortgage Mom on TikTok and Instagram. And for those of you that want to listen to our podcast, this just in, we are now on Spotify and the podcast on Apple. We'd love to have you follow and like us and come back to hear more special guests that we have in the near future.